Afternoon, Ngozi Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I have Amanda Murray, Kamau Emma, and Grant Morel. Sorry, Amanda. Hey, how are you guys?
Very good. Thanks, Nomsa. All very good.
Awesome. It's good to you guys are okay. And our topic today is unlocking your dream life from career to purpose. So welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows, everyone. In this video, we're going to dive into the concept of unlocking your dream life by transforming your career into a meaningful purpose. Whether you are feeling stuck in your career job or searching for your true calling, or insightful discussion will guide you towards unleashing your true potential. And also, Grant, you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience what was in your mind or the motivation behind it, please?
Yeah, thank you, Nomsa. This is something that I take all my clients through, and I may in a few weeks be going to a client in the US to help them plan this out. I may sit on their lap, as I call it, for a few days and see how their life unfolds so that I can help them plan this out. Because quite often people will go into goals. I've just onboarded a new client and talking about his goals, because people will talk about their business goals for the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, etc. But that doesn't mean anything to me before I understand them as an individual, before I understand what they want their life to look like 3 to 5 years. I can design business strategies for people, but I could be designing a prison sentence for someone. You know, it could be something they just don't want. They can make this much money, they can do this, they could be running around the world doing this, jumping on aeroplanes, and they may say, I don't want that. I want to be home at 5 p.m. of an evening, or I want to be home in the afternoons for my daughter. Fine. So in that case, you need a different style of business. So it's about combining your dream life. Look at your ideal week. What does your ideal week look like? And how can you make a business or career that fits in around that? Because you don't want one pulling apart from the other. You want them to lock in together. So it is about finding that harmony between your life and your happiness. So there's always the story behind it of the fisherman who has some wonderful fish on a boat. And the gentleman says, wow, they're brilliant fish. Where did you get them? He said, oh, I fished them. He said, you only got 3 there. He said, yeah, that's all I need for my family. And then the guy said, well, I'm a Harvard graduate. I could show you how to systemize this, how to get more fishermen, how to build it up. After 3 years, you can have 3 boats. You could then make your own fishery. You could then go corporate. You could then float it on the stock exchange, and you could retire and have share options. And the fisherman says, and what would I do then? He said, well, then you'd have all the money you want. He said, so what does that mean? He said, you'd have all the time you want. What does that mean? He said, then you could stay with your family and do the things you want. He said, I'd do that already. So the question is, what are you building and what's the damn purpose of it anyway? What is it that you ultimately want to achieve? So is the business or the career you're building actually going towards that or away from it? Let's think intelligently, let's align it, and let's unlock your dream from your career or your purpose. So that is the overview of what today's session is all about. Back to you, Nomsa.
Did you, is there sound with Grant? I can't hear him.
I can hear him as well. It's fine.
Yeah.
Can you hear Grant?
Yes, it's all here. So, okay, Nomsa. So maybe
I lost your sound. Lost the sound.
Okay.
Can you speak?
Yeah, I'm speaking now, Nomsa. And I guess you
can you speak?
He's speaking.
I'm speaking. And they can hear. So
Grant, I really liked what you said about how the fisherman's vision was different than the business person's vision. And I think that's something that we always need to think about sometimes, is that our goals are all different, right? And that sometimes when we think about how we want our life to be, we think instantly that we need more money, but that's not necessarily the case. Is that we need to think about, how do we want our ideal day to be? How do we want our ideal week to look like? What do we want to do each of those days? Who do we want to spend time with? What types of vacations do we want to be able to go on? Is our whole life a quote unquote vacation? Because I know when I go on vacation, I actually, my friend who's staying with me, she just got back from like a month in Greece, and we live in Canada, and she's staying with me because she lives a couple hours away still, so she still has to drive home later today. And she was like, oh, it's so nice to be home. Like, right? Like, as soon as she got in, and I'm like, oh, your vacation sounds amazing, and like, I can't wait to see all the pictures. And she's just like, I just want to stop living out of a suitcase. Like, you look so forward to these like big things that you get to go on, but then I really just want to be at home, right? And it's like brings that back to perspective. It's like sometimes going away on this really big thing that you're so excited to do also grounds you in the fact that you love where you live and love where you are and love what you do spend your time doing. And so when you do that, you don't actually have to go on a vacation to take a break from your life. Sometimes you go on a vacation to like appreciate your life even more. Right. And so I think sometimes too, like I'm off for the whole summer because I'm a teacher. And yet my daughter and I are spending lots of times doing, like, each day we just pick things that we want to do and we go and do them. And it's so fantastic. But I couldn't do that forever. I like to have structure. So I've even been getting up like at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., even though I don't have to work. And I've been working on some projects that I have, which is like writing some books and working on a course that I'm building. And so I'm still doing like jobs and projects because that's what I'd love to do. And then in the afternoons, because she's off, we go and do all the things we want to do, like go to the lake or go play tennis or go to the gym. And so sometimes I think that our lifestyle people think like, oh, I don't want to work. But I know as a teacher, having 2 months off, like by the time the whole 2 months are done, I'm ready to be back to work and have structure and have that. I even find the 2 months off like really long. So I know that for me, I need to have structure and have different things that I'm working on, because that's what fuels me and that's what I love to do. So I sometimes think that people think, oh, I need to just get money so I can retire. But then like, what does that look like? What are you doing when you're retiring? Because if I'm retired, I always say I'm never going to retire because I want to write books, or I want to like teach yoga, or I want to run retreats, or I want to run courses for people. Like I just don't want to have to teach in the crazy classroom all the time. Sometimes I don't want to deal with the politics of the school system, but I still want to work because I love working and I love working with people and I love working with kids. So I think you're really like hit the nail on the head with that story. And I've heard that story before of the fisherman who's like, well, I'm already doing that. That's what I spend my time doing. And so not everyone's goal is to have a mansion, right? Sometimes it's that your goal in life is to enjoy each day that you have.
Absolutely right. And there's actually a few points here that are quite important. The core values that we have, these are the ones that drive us, that motivate us. So that fisherman, for instance, his core values, one of them at least, was family time. And so if his family time is more important, then there's no point for him going every day and building that business, right? Contrary to the businessman or the Harvard graduate, who one of his core values or belief in his core values is that he wants to create more money and help businesses grow and stuff like that. And that's what drives him. That's what motivates him to do what he does. The important thing when it comes to core values is that because we all are affected by conformity, by society, by our parents, so we inherit these values and we take them on as our own without even questioning, are they truly ours, or are they something that I inherited and I'm trying to apply? And of course, if you try to apply these values to your own life, that's when you get a massive misalignment between your conscious and subconscious mind. The other thing that was that I wanted to point out is that we're talking about retirement. Unfortunately, the majority of people live their life just as it is, squared in that conformity. I think the numbers were between 89 to 94% of people do not explore beyond anything else. They do not explore their purpose. They do not explore how growth can affect them. That's a massive number. And so what does everyone do? They go to school, they finish school, they go to university, find a girlfriend, boyfriend, get to live together, buy a house, work 9 to 5, and they work very, very, very hard so that they can retire at whatever age they retire in every country, so that then they can rest. But you're 2 steps away from your grave. Is that when you're already going to rest in a few years? Now, what are you going to do now? And so that's where purpose comes into play, because in addition to your values, what do you want to do in life? How do you see your life right now? What is it? What do you want to do in the future? But in order to understand that, we have to go and see, what have you gathered up that has created the person that you are now, stuck in that life that you don't really enjoy. And so I do the same thing as you, Grant, when a client comes over to me and we talk about that they try and find purpose, an expression that I really absolutely despise, because it's not finding. You can't find purpose. It's there. You just don't understand it. So I talk about uncovering your purpose. And so what we do is I ask questions. Who are you? What do you believe you are? I don't care about the future. I want to know what is causing you to be stuck now. What do you believe in? What don't you believe in? What can you do? What can't you do? And what do you want from this? And where do you want to focus your attention? Now, with purpose and career, you can have all of it together. Sometimes it's a little bit, people look and say, well, you can't have everything. You can't have your life, your career, your family, your friends, and everything balanced. I say bull. I call BS, because you can. And again, another expression that I really don't like, that has been overused, and it's work-life balance. There's no such thing as work-life balance. It's simply life balance. If you know how to live the way that you want to live, with your purpose, with your meanings, with your beliefs, then everything balances itself out. And that's what I believe. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that will talk against it or say, no, that doesn't work. But hey, that's what I do. And I didn't bring it up now. This has been something going on for over 5,000 and 6,000 and 7,000 years. And this is why I use stories from ancient Egypt. They lived a purposeful life. How can we not do that now?
Social media.
don't push buttons.
Why can't we do that now? The first thing that pops in my head is social media. That's right.
That's great, Kamal. I think that's great what you said, and so true. Yeah, the work-life balance. But it's all life. It's all part of life. If you understand how to live life, you'll know how to work. It's all connected. It's all related. That's brilliant. I love what you said there. That's brilliant. Is Nobsa with us?
Yeah, I think you can have work-life balance with the family. And I love this story for the fisherman Grant. It's an amazing story. Like what Kamal is saying is you have to discover your purpose. Discover is finding or discovering, whatever you can name it. I think it's very, very important for people to understand that I myself retired once, and I know how it feels when you say, I'm going to retire. You have to do something that you love, something that you, when you do retire, you can retire. Me, I retired for a few months, and I had to mop around the house, and I went to that one that way, and I was like, but I was discovering my next move. What can I do with my life? And I didn't want to do things that, like, people tell me that, you know, so you're good at this, you're good at this. I just wanted to discover the person that I am. And by doing that, you have to ask yourself a few questions. And when you ask yourself a few questions, everything, it goes back to your childhood, the person who you were then. That is the really authentic person that is there. And for me, when I had to like look back my childhood, I was like, okay, I love being on stage. I love doing this. Psychology will be good. I love helping people. So it would be good for me to actually get into psychology. And that's how I ended up discovering my purpose. Like Kamal says, I had to open the cupboards and then find my wardrobe, and I found my purpose. I'm just annoying Kamal. And it's very, very important to actually set up goals as well, like what Grant was saying. But when you set up goals, there's a danger with setting up goals. I set goals myself, 2-year goals and 5-year goals, but at the same time, I can break them. If anything, if there's a questions, I have 5 questions that I have in my diary, and those questions, I keep going back to them. Where am I from? So this is the question that number 1 that I ask myself. And the question number 2 is, why am I here? Why am I on earth? The question number 2, this question, why am I here, is the question of purpose. And the other one is, what can I do? Is a question of potential. What can I do with this NOMSA that is here on earth? And the other one is, where am I going? So once I ask those questions, and there's another one that I ask myself, my heritage. My heritage, it helps me to understand who am I, my bloodline. So once I know that who am I, my heritage, I'm half Nigerian, half Kenyan. My family lived in South Africa, but they're not South African. And that tells me that actually my family, they're smart. So then I use that by creating, what does Nigerians behave? I know people say Nigerians are criminal, but they are the smartest people in the world, Nigerians. So I'm like, okay, I use this. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to behave. And I use that, and it works. Then I have to align my purpose with that. And then it works. And then I find tools, framework that goes with that. But every person, like what Amanda said, everybody's different. So you're gonna have to create how your life looks like. Is you're gonna have to create it based on who you believe to be true about you, who you are. Who am I? Jackie Chan, you can go and watch that movie. He says, who am I? So that's what you're gonna have to look at your life and just create a framework. Over to you, Grant.
Thanks, Nomsa. So creating a framework, and I think that's very important, because you do, in order to achieve this, you need a framework. Look at the client I was with earlier, and very successful, suddenly become really successful through social media. And he never expected to. A slight twist of fate, a little thing went viral, so busy, needs to expand, is holding back the dam, as he describes it. He needs to create what? A framework. So but we're looking at his ideal dream life, how he wants it to be, so he can achieve his purpose. And purpose is so important. So if you want to find your purpose, just joking, Kamal, because you can't. If you want to uncover your purpose, as Kamal will say quite rightly, you know, that's the key thing, because otherwise you're driving a business that's away from your purpose. That can leave you feeling very empty, and really unfulfilled. And then you could start to be at dis-ease with the world. That's not where you want to be. So align it. As I often say, is this keeping me on my compass heading, or is it pulling me off course? It's very important that it is. I recently took on a large role with a client, and somebody asked, but is that aligned with your purpose? And I said, 100%. If it wasn't, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I really, as grateful as I'd be for it, I wouldn't touch it if it wasn't aligned with my purpose. But it is. So that is so important. So as Kamal said, most people don't ever think of this. They don't think of goals. They don't think of purpose. So if they don't think of purpose, it's like playing a game blindfolded. It's going to be pretty difficult to achieve your goals, to hit the targets, to achieve what you want, unless you know what you're aiming for. So the question, I think, for most people is really, what is your purpose in life? Why are you here? What must you achieve before you go to another place after this life? Or whatever you're doing after this life, whatever your belief is on this. What must you achieve while you're here? What is your reason? What's your secret ability, your superpower, your secret sauce? Call it what you will. What's the thing that you can give better than anything else to this world? How can you leave this planet in a better place than you found it? What's your purpose? Spend time, because, above everything else, it's probably the most fundamental thing about being alive, your purpose. Once you find your purpose, don't worry about how you achieve it. Just find out what it is. That's the hardest thing for most people. Once you've got that, as is often said, once we found out what is your purpose, it's easy to find out how to achieve it. That's where coaches come in. They help you achieve it. But you must know what it is. So what's the thing that really lights you up? The thing that doesn't feel like you're working. Talking to a client who said that his father did a certain engineering role and he loved it. He said he loved, even when he was off work, he was phoning in to see how things were going. He was obsessed with it. If there was no money in the world, this is the question I ask people. If there was no money in the world, we didn't need money. A house, a car, a food, it was all paid for. You just had to live. If there was no money in the world and you didn't have to go to work, what would you do? What would you spend your time doing? That may be an indication towards your purpose. And that's probably where you'll make most money anyway, because you'll be so driven to do it. Like my friend's father, or my client's father, who, when he was off work, he was phoning in because he just loved it. It was his passion. It was his purpose. It's how he got fulfilled. That's probably the thing for you. This is why we tend to find people who do certain careers because the money's good. It's a horrible way to live your life. You resent it. You're at dis-ease. I mentioned that earlier. And you can start to become unwell if you're doing a career that you just don't like, or if you're doing it to please other people, be that your friends, your family, your husband, your wife, your children, your family, your culture, whatever. And a lot of people do it. You often end up unsuccessful, unhealthy, and unfulfilled. So the plan you had often doesn't work. Much easier to find your purpose if you can find a purpose in an alternative role or a different role within that industry, or just something completely different, because you will stay there longer. You will put more hours in if you need to. You will do it more joyfully, more gleefully. You will not feel the stress where others will, because you're in your flow. You will enjoy it. And as someone once said, when you live your life on purpose, you never work a day in your life. Amanda, Kamal, jump in. What do you want to say? What do you think?
Well, I was thinking, I always, like when we're talking, I think of books that I've read that relate to the topic. And so one of the most watched TED Talks ever was by Sir Ken Robinson, and it's called Do Schools Kill Creativity? Well, he also wrote a book called The Element, How Finding Your Purpose Changes Everything. And in that book, he talks about how people, when they find what truly lights them up, that's really the ideal goal. And because I'm an educator, I'm always thinking about that. I'm thinking about how can we make education better, essentially, in order to like empower people to feel fulfilled, because right now our system doesn't do that at all. And people have been talking about it, very successful people have been talking about this for years. And I'm actually reading a book called The Education of Millionaires, Everything You Won't Learn in College About How to Be Successful. And it really essentially is like, why aren't we teaching people these things? Like these things that these people learn inherently, and yet other people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these elite Ivy schools, and yet they're not getting what other people are getting in a real world education, and how that real world education is so much more valuable if you connect with the right people. And so I just found this one really great quote while you were talking. It says, one of the essential problems for education is that most countries subject their schools to the fast food model of quality assurance when they should be adopting the Michelin model instead. The future for education is not in standardization, but in customizing, not in promoting groupthink and de-individualization, but in cultivating the real depth and dynamism of human abilities of every sort. And I think when we start to open that up to like, what is everybody's abilities and creativity and passions, then we're really going to see a decrease in mental health issues and a decrease in anxiety and a decrease in depression, because people are going to wake up and feel fulfilled by doing what it is that they love to do, and by not feeling crappy about themselves because the standardization has told them that they're not smart. Because I really truly believe that everyone is infinitely creative, and that we all have our own unique creative gifts. And some of our gifts are in math, some of our gifts are in art, some of our gifts are in dance and making videos, and some people are amazing at coding. That we all have these unique gifts, but the school system is so narrowly focused on, sorry, my cat keeps hitting the edge of my computer. And it's like, whoop, the screen goes. And so when we really look at that piece of what it is that we love to do, and if we could foster that from a young age in the classroom, then we wouldn't have some of the issues that we have, and we would see more people actually asking that question of, what is my purpose and why am I here? Rather than, well, school told me that in order to be successful, I need to go to university and then do a job and then have 1.5 kids and then have the white picket fence. And that's not what's going to fulfill everyone. And I really think we need to look at people holistically and look at the system holistically, rather than have band-aid solutions to everything.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. And I'll come back to Grant, because Grant, you mentioned something. What is it that drives you? What is it that fuels your life? And this is something that I learned as well, and that I've taken on board. And it's an old method of the Japanese, and it's called the Ikigai. And the Ikigai has been actually there has been research done, and it has been factually proven that it works. And there's a zone, it's called the blue zone, and all of these countries, and mostly islands that are in that zone, they have the highest functioning centenarians in the world. That includes Okinawa, it includes Sicily, it includes, I think it was some certain islands. But what happens there? Well, the Ikigai is very simple. It's based on 4 questions. What do you love? What can you get paid for? What can you contribute to the world? And the fourth one is what are you good at, I think. And these four together, because they create four circles where they interconnect. That center part, if you can connect all those four questions together, that is your ikigai, or translation, the way of life, or how to live, purpose. And a lot of people consider just money, or consider what they love, or consider only two aspects of the ikigai. And that's how people fall into their traps of, okay, so I'm looking for the money. I can get paid for that, and I'm good at this, so I'm going to go for that. But do you actually love it? I mean, I'm good at math, but I don't want to do this as a career. Like, I've got nothing to do with that. I'm good at sports. I have my karate school, but it's not something that I'm doing daily. It's something that I'm doing twice per week. And it's something that fulfills me because it's part of the teaching process. And this is part of the purpose. And my purpose includes karate, the way of life of Karate Do. And so everything revolves around that center sentence, or motto, or way of life, or protocol, if you want to call it. If you can create a protocol for your life, and you apply that protocol to every single aspect of your life, then you start living purposefully and fulfilled. Back to you, Amanda. What you were talking about is constantly happening, and it's so sad to see. Like, I'm an English teacher, right? And the Norwegian system is a little bit different than the American system. It has a little bit more flexibility, and I can see students, and I can see how they're interacting. And of course, I'm comparing them to how I was at school and how my class was, the French education system back when it was still okay. And it's just sad to see what's happening. They're all sticking to, yes, you have certain criteria to fulfill. Like, you have to know how to write, you have to know how to read, you have to know how to express yourself in your field. But how do you do it? Well, everybody has the same book almost. And now here comes the creativity of the teachers, if they're good teachers, if they find teaching part of their purpose, if it is part of what they truly believe they can contribute to the world, right? And that's where you implement your stuff. You implement games, you implement role-playing, you implement... you know what? The last 3 weeks, because we had finished the curriculum, this is what I did in my classes. I taught them about NLP communication skills. I taught them about the preferred modalities. It's English. I was teaching them English, but I was teaching them how to communicate better using NLP. I taught them about the mirroring and what's it called? Mirroring. I keep forgetting what it is. Grant?
Mirroring and matching.
Yeah, there you go. Mirroring and matching, to control a situation in an interview, or to befriend someone. We spoke about metaphors and how all our talk is about metaphors. Now, metaphors comes in communication. So for 2 weeks, I was using just communication skills to share with them. And this is where the implementation of what we truly love doing comes into play. And you can apply that anywhere you want to. And that's my belief. Of course, you have to have the possibility to do these things, right? And you have to have the correct ways and methods. Now, as educators, you can do it your own way to a certain extent, but you are limited as well. And so I don't know if I mentioned that, but one of the best schools or education systems that I have seen so far is the Montessori. Because the Montessori, what they do is that they push you to create your own schedules with the subjects that you enjoy. However, you have to have a minimum of certain subjects to pass. So if you don't like literature, let's say you have to have at least 2 hours of literature per week. But you like maths, you can have 10 hours. You like drawing and art, you can have 10 hours, as long as you fill your schedule your way. And I'm talking, this is starting mid-high school and upper high school. So that system promotes what you're talking about, Amanda. And that system really promotes purpose, because through high school, you understand yourself differently, and you understand that your skills, what you are gifted in doing, and your talents can be promoted, can be enhanced, and you can finally go and continue doing something that you really enjoy. And then it doesn't become about the money or how much you can earn. It becomes about, you know what, I don't care about the money. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy doing this for the rest of my life. And so that last question that you ask, or maybe it's the first question, Grant, if you could do something for the rest of your life and there was no money included, what would it be? And in most cases, that really, really stings the client, because they go like, oh, I would love to do this, but I can't. Why can't you? Because I have to pay bills. And you can still pay your bills. But it's a very, very important question. I love that question, Grant. Thanks for bringing it up.
You're welcome. I'm glad you liked it. And yeah, most people like it because it's such a pure question. It's such a pure question. Everybody runs after money. Yes, I know we need money to live. I get that. But the beauty of it is the very thing that we run away from because we think it's not going to make us free is the very thing that will make us free. If we go after what we really love, we are more successful with it. And it's just a smoother life. Most people don't dare to do it. They don't dare to believe it. But it can be lived. It can be done. So many people I know like this. You mentioned NLP. One of my first NLP trainings I ever not delivered, but actually when I was a student of NLP, was a very, very bright guy. Very, very bright guy who works in the financial sector, like finance. And he's a very funny, very bright guy. He only did the practitioner. He didn't even do the masters. He didn't go on to be a trainer. He just wanted to get it better so he could communicate with some of his clients better. And how he revised the homework was he would tell it in a series of jokes. So stories and jokes. And he would use examples of what we've learned in the joke. Very bright guy, very bright guy. And he did, and in the end, what did he do? He got to the stage in his career when he didn't need to go to the office anymore. They would go to wherever he was. So he said, you know what, the hell with this rat race. He moved in the country somewhere, bought a house with a bit of land, doesn't shave too often, showers every day, doesn't shave too often. And he's on the laptop and he gives advice to heads of financial corporations, tells them stuff, and they just say, yep, whatever. And he said, I've got to go now. I want to do some work in the allotment. And he'll just go out, plant some vegetables, homeschools his kids, sits there, goes for walks in the country with the dogs, and opens a laptop now and then and gives people advice. He's found his paradise. He loves finance, but he hated the city in the end. He hated the life. So he will still do that because he loves that industry, or he loves the outcomes it gets for people, but he'll do it on his own terms. And he's living a beautiful life. So, he asked himself the question, what would you do if there was no money? I would play with numbers. I look at finance. I like doing it. But he does it in a pair of shorts and while unshaven. Yeah, that's his thing. What about you, man? Did you come across this with people much in what you do and kids? And do you see this in early development with kids? Do you start to see who they're going to be? You know, the old adage, show me the boy at the age of 7, isn't it? The child. Show me the child at the age of 7. Show me the boy at the age of 7. I'll show you the man. I know it's a generic, slightly out of sequence term, but it's quite an indication. Do you spot that in children? Do you see that?
Yeah, there's definitely people who have their spotlights already in certain areas. There's kids who, as early as the youngest I've taught is grade 2, and you can see like some kids are just super passionate about math and they love it. And I had a kid this year in grade 5 who's like, math is my favorite, right? And the rest of the kids are like, I hate math. And then this one, and then other kids too, who like just love to speak, and like being in front of an audience is like it just fills them up, right? And so that kid will be some sort of salesman or something for sure. And then there's other kids who like excel at art, or there's other kids who love working with little kids, and so they'll probably be some sort of caregiver. I had one kid who was like obsessed, loved coding, and he was like, can we do coding? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so he like essentially taught the class how to use Scratch and how to do coding, and I didn't really do anything. I just let him teach it because I don't know how to use it, but I was like, we can do it for sure. And so, yeah, I taught them like the basics, and then any like more complex questions, I was like, go ask him because I don't know. But it's fascinating. And even I've had kids that like love to make movies, and so or love to make stop motion videos, and like that's their passion. And then another kid absolutely hates it, right? And so one kid, we did this coding thing where it was like a lesson that I had in the organizers of coding come in and teach an online course for us. And she was like, I hated that. That was the worst thing ever. And then I had like 5 other kids be like, I went home and showed my parents how to do it, because we were learning how to make video games online using Scratch. And so like a really basic video game. And like this one girl or 3 girls like absolutely hated it, and like this was the worst class ever. And then other kids being like, I went home and showed my parents and it was amazing. And I really think sometimes the purpose, especially in elementary school, is to expose children to lots of different things. And I tell them that at the beginning of the year. That's actually one of the books I've written, is called What Do You Learn at School? And in that, I say, like, some of you are going to love some things that I hate, and some things that I teach you're going to hate, and other people will love it. And that's okay. Because some of the things that I have to teach, I don't really like teaching. I just have to teach it because it's in the curriculum. And I'll even tell the kids that, like, there was part of it, one of the last days before the end of the school year, we were doing some geometry because we were running out of time, and I was like, we got to quickly cover this. And one of the kids was like, when are we ever going to use this in real life? And I was like, I don't know, man, write your MLA. I was like, write the MLA, because I would gladly stop teaching this, because there's memes that go around every year during tax time saying, I'm so glad it's parallelogram season and I know how to do my taxes, right? Like, just ridiculous memes, because we don't teach children how to do their taxes, but we teach them about parallelograms. And it's just like kids even see it as early as 10 years old. Like, when am I ever going to use this? And I'm like, absolutely, I agree with you. Like, let's do something to change it. And so I do see that. I do see kids that have already, even from a super young age, just their passions. And yet I do think it's important to introduce them to lots of different things so that they can find something that they really, really love. And I like to set that up as at the beginning of the year, being like, there's some things you're going to love and there's some things you're going to hate. And that's okay, because other people have other interests. And my goal is to just introduce you to a bunch of different things. Right. And so I think that's really good at a young age. But then as they get older, we need to give them more time to spend on their passions and not more time learning about parallelograms.
It's a great point, actually. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful point. I can't think where it is. Is it Norway or something? There's the fun school, and it sounds like the worst idea on earth, but actually it allows kids to just have fun when they're, I think, up to the age of 7. Just have fun. And they said by doing that and observing them, you can start to see what they excel at. And then, as you said, as Canal said, they start to steer the schooling around what they specialize at. And it sounds like the kid's going to grow up really, really dumb. No, not at all. Far from it. And I think that's so inspiring. I think it's called the Fun School. I think it might be in Norway. I could be wrong, but a little bit of research will reveal what it is. And it blew me away. I was pleasantly surprised by it, because there's a whole It should be concentrate on things we're not good at. But I think Kamal was saying there's about 20% of the time you must have 2 lectures or something doing things you're not. Yeah, okay, don't ignore them completely. But if you're not good at them, you're not a specialist, you're probably never going to become fantastic at them. So the best you could ever become is average. Rather than excelling, being okay, just doing the things you don't like to do a little bit, just to prove that you can take them on board, but really spend more time on the things you love, they're passionate about, things that seem aligned with your purpose, because you will excel at those. And in life, people don't pay you the most to be a generalist, they pay you to be a specialist. Somebody said to me earlier today, someone I met years ago contacted me and said, "Oh, Grant, I know you're a coach and this and that. I've got another coach. Have you got any advice?" And I said, "Yeah, take your coach's advice. If you've got a coach, don't come to me. Don't mix medicine. But if they do a certain thing and I specialize in something they don't, by all means, but I don't want to muddy the waters. You've chosen them and I respect that. I mean, I don't know the person they've chosen, and it was, yeah, they didn't speak to me about the choosing process. I think they just wanted validation that they made the right choice. And I said, I'm sure you have. I'm sure they're good. They do a great job. But if you're speaking to me to advice, my advice is take their advice. Take their advice. But if there's something I specialize in that they don't, by all means, we'll have the conversation. Otherwise, please stay with them. I'm doing a good thing. And this is the way you excel. You excel at what you're really good at. And people pay you to be a specialist. Think of doctors. There's the general doctor and there's a specialist. The specialist consultant gets paid the most because they know a lot about one thing. In life, there isn't time to do all these things. So find what you love the most. It's going to be much more fulfilling, so much more fun, so much less stressful. And so you'll be so much more financially successful doing the things you love. The key thing is you must find out what is your purpose. That's what I wanted to say. Nomsa, what are you thinking? You're listening to us talking about this. You must be devising some thoughts yourself, have some experience.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the education, what Amanda was saying. I had my children in a state school and then comparing with private school, I think, and also having a chat to the teachers as well, and just to find out the challenges they face in education as well. And I didn't know actually in the United Kingdom that the teachers in a state school, they don't get enough funding. Sometimes actually they have to use the money from their pocket to actually fund things in the class. And I had no idea. And when I was chatting to one of the teachers the other day, and she was like, she's a private school teacher now, but she was in a state school. So we were talking in the choir, and one of the girls was saying she teaches in London. I was like, she must be teaching in a private school because there's no way she will be traveling to London every day if she's in a state school. So I asked her, and then she said, yeah, I left state school, and apparently state school, they had to, that's why they're striking, because they can't get enough funding and to help the kids. And if they need something to buy equipment in the class, sometimes they have to contribute from their pocket. And that's how bad it is. And I was like, oh, I wasn't aware of that. But that's how it is. And also when it comes to the education, I think maybe somehow it will change, because I see my daughter, she's in a private school. You can see the difference. She's driven, the goals, they bring speakers in, they bring all different things, like they are out there. The children, they travel, they go on holiday to travel and see, like they go and play music around the world. So they have those opportunities, but there are some children who don't have the opportunities to do that. And that's where finding your purpose is. And that's when, like, they are motivational speakers. Sometimes they go to other schools, like state school, they help out. And maybe you guys can work out. There's an opportunity there to volunteer and just go in and help out, because they're taught one way of education. that without education, without good grades, you cannot succeed in life. But that is not true. They can succeed in life without a degree. You can succeed in life without having A+, you can still succeed in life. So, but Kamal, if you say to Hope money does not matter, she will have a guy at you. She tells me, she goes, Mommy, when I get older, when I start working, I want to make loads of money and I want to retire. If you tell her that is not about the money, she tells you it's about the money, because if I cannot pay the bills, I cannot eat it. I'll be miserable. So she tells you that. She says, I have to find a job that is creative, that can make me money so I can retire. So I'm going to tell her, Kamal and Granty said it's not about the money. She will challenge you and say, no, it's not about the money. That's a lie. So yeah, it's not about the money. I agree with you guys. It's about finding something that you love. But something that you love, it has to bring something in. It has to bring money. So that's what life is about. And no one wants to, like myself, I don't want to live in poverty. I always say to myself, I want to be the changer in my bloodline. I don't want to be somebody that, like, I have to stress if I need something, or I found my passion, the things that I love, I found my purpose. So I have to work for it. I have to work and I have to earn money. And at the same time, I cannot do a job just because it's a job. I can't do that. I rather do something that I love to do. And I think that's where the education system, they need to, because the children are different. Like myself, I wasn't somebody with books. I didn't love books. I'm a very creative person, but now I do love books. But when I was young then, the teachers couldn't get through to me because everyone learns different. And also, if you are a child and somebody tells you off, like mostly teachers are the ones that are damaging the children. And I love Amanda when she speaks. She's very, very passionate about her job, because you can see that she loves teaching the children. And when she's here on the talk show, she speaks passionate. Even when she's off, she talks really passionate about what she does. But not all the teachers are like that. Dreams are being destroyed. If you listen to all these motivational speakers, they'll tell you that it's all about the teacher said I couldn't do this, I couldn't do this. But to me, I just believe that every child is talented somehow. There's a talent in them that you figure out and unleash that talent and help them to unleash it. But you need people that have patience. You have to have patience. Like my children, I can see, like, sometimes I lose patience. I'm like, you were pushing my button and I need to hold on. I'm like, no, sir, do not scream at her, just hold it. And then I'm holding it inside her, but I want to say out loud, I can't. So children can press your button as well. So you need a teacher that has patience, that loves what they do. So it's a very tough, it's a tough industry, and it's very tough. So finding your purpose, but at the same time, for me, I will say, if you identify your passion, and then you can create your framework. And also, you need to, like, if you want your life to be fulfilled, you need to look at the things that brings joy to your life, things that bring fulfillment, and also your strength. Recognize your strength and your weaknesses, and also understand your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is very crucial, because that is you identifying your talent, and also going through all that to set goals. And when you set goals, create a plan. That is very, very important. And then learn how to overcome challenges. And once you do all that, then the roadmap is important. Just create, like when you drive a car, You have a map that takes you that this is how you're going to go in life. You just create that. The questions are there for you to use them so you can create the life that you want in life. It's 2:00, guys. Over to you, Grant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And so as you said, creating your life. Yes. Is it all about money? No. Is it all about having no money? No. Of course, you need money to live. But again, if you live your life on purpose, you will make enough money at the worst case scenario to live a very fulfilled life. And of course, you're probably going to excel at it and do much better because the passion, the purpose, the freedom, and you're just living a fulfilled life. It's a different energy that you can put into that kind of work. So really, it's about creating that work-life balance. Is it for you rushing around? There was a time when I used to love being in the suit with a briefcase, being in the city. I loved it. I loved it. I absolutely love it. Can't imagine now you wouldn't get me sitting in a traffic jam or in a rush hour for anything. And on the very odd occasion that I have to get an early train, I really don't like it. It's really an unusual thing for me. I live life on my terms because I've found my purpose. I've found my purpose and I know my value within it. So I encourage all of you to reach out. If any of us can help you to find your purpose, please do reach out, because I'm sure all of us would love to help more people find their purpose in life. Because when you do that, you're giving your very best to the world. And when you give your best to the world, it brings out the best in others. And that spreads around. And that starts to leave the world in a better place than we found it. And that, for me, is what it's all about. My name's Grant. It's Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over the past 20 years, almost 21 years, myself and international teams have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, individuals, companies, and organizations across 15 plus countries. We've helped them to create a world of passion, purpose, and freedom so that they can create a lifestyle and a business that can become a legacy for generations to come. If I can help you to do that, just reach out to me, grant.morrell at Instagram, and I'd love to help you find your purpose. Amanda.
Well, I loved our conversation today because I really think that maybe, hopefully, we've sparked some people's minds of what they really love to do and just shifted the even beginning to question what it is that their purpose is and what it is that they love to do. And I believe that we can find our purpose through our creativity and our creative gifts, and that each of us are uniquely creative within ourselves, and we have these gifts, and some of them might be painting or art, and some of them might be coding or woodworking or being a karate instructor. And so I have a free gift on my website. It's a digital download called The Mindful Art of Creativity that anybody's welcome to go to my website and download. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, purpose, uncovering your purpose. I'm gonna make a copyright to change all of these books that are saying finding purpose and make it uncover your purpose. No, but I'm actually, you're right. This is something that I wanted to share. I'm starting to write my book about purpose as well. So that's something coming along the way. And as words of encouragement, like I usually do, I share a quote. And today I'm really torn between two quotes that absolutely are amazing, but I'm going to say them both because they complement each other. The first one is from Rumi, and he says, everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart. And just to complement this one, we go to Dostoevsky. And he says, the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. So combine both of those quotes together, and this is my recommendation to you today. After this wonderful talk about purpose and understanding how you want to live your life, it's not all about money. It's not all about take. It's actually about giving. And the more you give, the more you contribute to society and the world, the more of a legacy you leave behind you. And if this is what you want to do, like Grant was talking about, specialize in something. And this is what I specialize in. I am a NLP trainer, master practitioner, psychologist, and I created, based on my life and my teachings and learnings, that a program of 14 weeks to help people uncover their purpose and live a foundation of purpose. So we're creating just that foundation so that every person can have that ikigai, that raison d'être, that ma'at, like the ancient Egyptians called it. And the program is created based on modern psychology. I use cognitive behavior psychology, positive psychology, neurolinguistic programming, as well as ancient Egyptian wisdom to complement everything. And so if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram, which is kamal.amer. You can find me finally on my website, and there's plenty of material for you to read about at kamalamer.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. For everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be and whenever you may be watching.
Thank you so much, Kamal and Grant and Amanda, and audience who are watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, or Facebook. Please follow our page, like us, and you can join the group, Ngosi Talk Show group. And also you can join Unique Billionaire Mindset. And I don't have a website, guys. I'm still waiting. It's a waiting game, but it's going to be worth it. My website, it looks so much beautiful now. So, and I will see you guys maybe in 2 hours, because I need to record the video for my website as well. So I might see you then, or I might see you in 3 hours. I don't know. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless. And like Kamal is saying, and Grant is saying, and Amanda, my words that I always say is, if you didn't make me, you cannot define me. Meaning you have to find, you have to discover. If I say find your purpose, Kamal is gonna go mad. You have to discover your purpose, who you are as a person and why you are here on earth. And just don't worry about what people think, what they say, or whatever. Just follow us at Ngosi Talk Shows, or if you want coaching, you can actually message us. My phone number is on my business page, and my email address you can get in touch through, and I'll connect you with one of the speakers if you want coaching. And God bless. Live with grace.